Here in Columbus, and we are live at the ABCA this weekend, early January. It's the kickoff to baseball season all across the country, youth level, high school level, even the professional level. And I think he looks a little like me. There might be a resemblance, but we don't get to talk live in person an awful lot. But this is my son, Tyler Beede. Mr. Beede.
Coach
how are you,
Beede.
sir?
I'm
Coach,
doing phenomenal.
Mr. Tyler Beede,
tell you,
Coach Beede, pleasure to meet you.
I've been around you for 32 years. Grateful for that, and I'm learning that just now that you're a big deal, and so it's been
Not as
fun.
big as you. Not as big as you.
I
Not
don't know.
as tall
That's,
as you.
that's
I have
up
to be on my tiptoes.
It's up for debate. Yes, you are shorter, but you have a bigger resume. If we talk resumes, man, there's nobody who has the baseball knowledge and the connections and access that Walter Beede has. And so it's been great to see people cross by, holler your name, you do the same, and people light up. And so it's great to see you here in your element. And we've been doing a lot of cool things, from Coach Beede, Blue Book, to Pitch Safe, and so many more things. Great to see familiar faces. Talk to me. We've met a lot of coaches, and we've talked about development. We've talked about protecting the next generation of pitchers. As a coach, you've been a part of the game as a coach and as a parent, but as a parent, talk to me about kind of the things that you've recognized from our conversations with Pitch Safe that really give you hope for the next generation of pitchers to come through in a more healthy fashion, to have longer careers, and how it would have benefited you back then, maybe when I was going through youth baseball.
Well, the biggest thing that I've discovered is that when you're a parent of a pitcher, you're the parent of an athlete. And so you can't monitor all reps. You're shortstop, you played right field, you played left field, you caught. So, a lot of times we don't take into account the fatigue or the stress, the lower half, the legs, the core, maybe, the arm might be a little just tired.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of keep track of that. And so one of the things that I'm really proud of is you utilizing your education, creating Pitch Safe, but it's more of an arm care than just pitch focus. We talk about pitching, but really it's arm care, and it allows you to take, as a pitcher and as an athlete, to monitor, how does my body feel? What was my sleep level? How's my nutrition? What's my reps look like as far as with off days and short boxes and things that you do on a day-to-day basis, but it's like a journal on your phone. And so one of the things that I always try to encourage parents to be aware of is maybe your student athlete isn't as diligent with regard to data entry, but with the Pitch Safe app, it's really simple, it's really quick. One of the great things that I like, that you've kind of gamified it a little bit, so it incentivizes the younger athletes to, hey, I want to make sure I get all my information in, so it gives me the right output. As far as, what made you even consider starting or creating Pitch Safe?
Well, running the facility in Houston and
Lions Den.
Running the Lions Den, Northeast Houston. Yep, 20134 Oldridge Drive. Running that facility and really having the ability to manage and develop more players at the high school level and youth level, I started to get just blindsided by the way that they were getting used, maybe not always in a bad way, but used regardless, from high school to youth side to their practices with their private instructors, and really kind of getting them into the facility somewhat broken, right, and trying to not just care about their performance, but care about their health. And trying to juggle that really in limited time that you have with players can be tough. So we wanted to have more clarity on what they were doing outside of the facility, but also, as we were actively collaborating with high school coaches and their travel ball organizations, provide them the same clarity. And the way that we were able to do that was provide or create a one-stop shop platform for pitching management and team management of those players. And so that's kind of what was the passion behind starting Pitch Safe.
So one of the interesting dynamics as father and son duo here is we used to have a lot of downtime. In the car, we'd be talking about, the upcoming events, and then obviously in the ride home, hey, what did you think? What do you do? This is the type of training app that you can use regardless of your position. You're a catcher, maybe you caught 2 games and the coach is going to come to you and say, hey, how do you feel, Ty? Can you pitch? Of course, a young athlete's going to say, yeah, okay, I can go, coach. But maybe the app gives you a little bit of an inclination of, maybe we need an extra day of rest. Maybe the app is allowing parents to speak, because I had a bad rap, and maybe I was overly protective, maybe a little overly protective. But with regard to, hey, if you're starting on Wednesday, you get 1 inning, to maybe come in relief. But we're not going to let them kind of have a back-to-back start, whereas young children or younger athletes and even their parents might not be inclined to say, no, he's got to rest another day. The app kind of takes the weight off the parent, and it's like bad cop. Now the app can say, you might need an extra day of rest.
Yeah, it provides not just the coach and player peace of mind, but the parent peace of mind to know that they're doing what's necessary or what's right for their child, because that's ultimately what the parent wants, is to understand and be affirmed that I'm putting them in the right places, playing for the right teams, training with the right facilities. They don't always have Walter Beede to lean on to say you should be going here and doing this and trusting that person. If they're kind of isolated and don't have access to a great mind like yourself, if you don't, subscribe to Coach Beede at the link below. And so if you don't have access to those people, you're kind of searching for the right answers, and you can often get overwhelmed with all that is going on, not just in baseball, but school and life, and you want your kid to have kind of the best direction and set up for success that they can have. And so we wanted to make sure that we're providing that peace of mind, so that the parent can say, okay, I know that his safety, his health is taken care of. It's not to say, okay, we want him to be overly protective and we don't want him to pitch as much because we're scared of him getting hurt. It's just knowing when the green light is lit up and when you can go and trust him to throw his full allotted pitch count, 75 pitches, 5 innings, to go dominate, and know when he needs to rest. And so we're just grateful that we've been able to provide parents that peace of mind, coaches and players the clarity on when they can go and pursue that next, high intent day.
So let me ask you a couple questions now that you and I are in the same space here. And a lot of parents of 12 to 14, let's call it 13 to 15 or 16, and their student athlete might be a shortstop and a pitcher, or a first baseman and a pitcher. Now, you were a two-way athlete your whole life. What are some of the tips that you might be able to provide to parents as far as, don't worry about pitcher only. You don't need to be a pitcher only. Play the game, love the game, develop, and let whatever happens once you get to the high school or even college level.
Yeah, there's talk about specialization of sports, but then there's also within each sport, there's a skill-specific specialization that I try to have parents avoid too. Now, there's sometimes the writing's on the wall, you just can't hit a fastball or a curveball. It is what it is, but I still encourage athletic catch play. So if I do have a pitcher only, I do demand that they still try to throw the ball like a shortstop, like a catcher, like an outfielder trying to throw a guy at home, because if we get guys too robotic, too mechanical, then they lose kind of all athleticism when they get to the mound. I love working with shortstops and catchers, and they always say, like maybe my arm's too short or I throw from a funky arm angle. I'd rather work from there and build a pitcher than trying to take a guy who is really stiff and has been trying to pitch for a long time. So to that point, encouraging, regardless whether you can play multiple positions and swing the bat or not, encouraging athletic catch play and moving the body around and not hyper fixating on, I need to get into my back hip, I need to have a vertical shin, I need to ride the slope with this specific angle with my hips and shoulders, and just providing an environment where a player, a pitcher can move subconsciously, and then kind of ironing out the movements and the delivery from there.
Okay, last question, and I get this a lot, especially of parents in that 12 to 15 window, multiple sports. Now, we grew up in New England, and football, basketball, baseball, you play them all, and you talk about robotic. We want to be athletic. The biggest part of baseball is being athletic and not robotic. Let's talk a little bit about, hey man, when the time's right, if you want to give it a rest, maybe your junior or senior year, okay, but up until that point of maybe 16 or 17, play sports. It makes you more athletic. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'll start from the end to the beginning. So if you look at the end result of the most elite baseball players of all time, they played multiple sports. Right. And so if you're looking to be an above average baseball player, they did not specialize from a young age. Guys who actually specialize from a young age, they may develop quicker or reach those higher velocities quicker, but they plateau and they become players who didn't quite reach the abilities that they could have. Players who played multiple sports, they might have taken a little bit longer to surpass that player who specialized, but they have a higher trajectory. They continue to grow and develop and have a far better career. And so what I mean by that, I think ultimately what happens is you develop different capabilities, athleticisms, whatever it might be, while playing other sports, right? When I was playing football, I had a different gear competitively in my mind when I was going to either prepare to take a hit or I was going to go deliver a hit. That's a different gear that you can switch in football, and obviously you're moving at different patterns and planes. Basketball, you're running a whole bunch, right? And you're having to read defenses, and you're starting same way as a quarterback. You're trying to predict where the runner's going to be, where that defender's going to go. And then when you get on the mound and you're trying to read swings, you kind of have the ability to see different things because you've been training your eyes, your mind, to do different things from different sports. You can predict when the shooting guard's going to cut to the lane, and then when you're on the mound, you can predict when that hitter is trying to pull the ball versus stay inside of a ball. all that can't be learned by specializing, at an early age. And whether you are actively learning those things or just subconsciously, those things are happening when you're playing other sports.
So I want to let people know the last trip that Tyler and I took together, father and son, was Blair Field in 2010 in Long Beach, California. So if you're a parent, don't worry about today. Tomorrow. Focus on today. Like, tomorrow's going to take care of itself. As an athlete, have fun, enjoy where your feet are today. Maybe you'll end up as a big leaguer, but we're here in Columbus wishing you a happy baseball season in 2026.